Hello, and you're all very welcome along to Season 5, Episode 35 of the Champ.ie podcast, Ireland's premier horse racing podcast in association with Boylesports, Gowran Park Racecourse, KCLR Radio and Syndicates Racing. Coming up on this week's show, Barry speaks to special guest Darragh O'Keeffe about Gold Cup hope, Gentlemansgame and winning aboard mare Maskada in the Grand Annual last year. The lads look ahead to all of the Cheltenham Festival Handicaps, as well as giving their best bets.
On towards the final fence, Maskada gets through on the inside. Bad mistake from Dino Blue. Hands the lead to Maskada, who now forges on under Darragh O'Keeffe. Dino Blue gathered up, but the gap has grown to half a dozen lengths, and Maskada is staying on powerfully up the Cheltenham Hill to Darragh O'Keeffe and Henry de Broamhead. It's Maskada who wins the Grand Annual.
If you haven't already, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the Champ.ie YouTube channel, as it helps to get horse racing content out there to the wider audience. We look forward to reading your Cheltenham Handicap fancies in the comments below. Sit back, relax and enjoy the show.
Boylesports. Don't just bet, choose wisely.
Hello, and you're all very welcome along to Champ.ie for another week as we get ever closer to the Cheltenham Festival. And what a great festival we have to look forward to. We've had many shocks through the week with big names not going to be taking their place at the festival, but nonetheless, we still have plenty to look forward to. Champ.ie brought to you in association with Boylesports. Don't forget Gowran Park Racecourse, Syndicates Racing and KCLR Radio. And as well as that, this week we want you, instead of a 5-cast selection, we're going slightly different. We want you to comment with your each way double selection on the big handicaps at Cheltenham this week. And of course, we've got some winners to announce as well this week. Some nice merchandise given to us by Red Mills to give away. And of course, we've got a nice bet to give you from Boylesports, of course, who've got lots of extra place value to be had over the 4 days of the Cheltenham Festival. Delighted to be joined by Barry Doyle, as always, and Mark Boylan has been brought in at huge expense to give us his best bets from the Irish field. Mark, I'm going to come to you first. Great to have you with us on Champ.ie this week. And of course, before we start off about Cheltenham, the Irish field have produced an absolute cracker of a magazine, all building up to the Cheltenham Festival. Tell us about it.
Thanks, Ian. Yeah, look at you. We're going all guns blazing for Cheltenham. Another 32-page supplement coming this weekend in the paper. Look, we just try and find something a bit different at times, because you know yourself, lads, you always try and put out something a bit different in the print market. There's lots there that's very stabletour centric, and we do a bit of that as well. But got lots of kind of time analysis, Simon Rowland's input in the Cheltenham magazine, which you find in your news agents. And look, just trying to find something a little bit different, I suppose, amongst all the previews that are there. We've put the kind of favourites on trial for the paper this weekend, and we've had a kind of a for and against piece. And look, there's lots of reading in it anyway. It's one of the best selling editions of the year, so looking forward to it. It won't be long till we're getting on the plane or the boat or whatever way you're making your way to Cheltenham. Can't wait for it now.
Absolutely. And Mark, yesterday, when I knew you were coming on the show, I put in Mark Boylan's name into YouTube, and it brought back so many great memories, because that famous song that you sang, do you still to this day get goosebumps about it? And that whole experience, I saw you in the middle of the weigh room singing to jockeys and everything. That must be still something that you savor to this day.
Sure, listen, it was amazing when you're kind of 12 or 13, and look, we all love the game, and when you're especially that age and you're growing up and you're idolising lads like McCoy and so on, and you're getting the chance to go in and play in the dressing room before an Ireland final or after, during the week, it was incredible, really. And to be honest, I don't know if I deserved all of it that came my way, but I was very, very lucky that they looked after me so well. And Cheltenham as well, got to play there on a few Gold Cup days too, and met some fabulous people out of it. So no, look, at lads like to give you a bit of crack and a bit of slagging over it. And sure, listen, we have to be big enough and bold enough to take it. But no, listen, I've fond memories of it all. Everybody really, really good to me, and no, just very, very appreciative of it. I'm not born into the sport. I don't have a background in that sense, and people just very much took me very, very nicely from word go. They didn't have to be as nice. So listen, it's been a crack now. I love the week still. I know it's not perfect. There's no point in saying that we have the festival maybe in the perfect place that it is. That we can tighten up the program to make better clashes than we're probably going to have. But I think you get to the week, we get to the Monday night, and that's not going to be in my mind. When we get to the Monday night, I'm just going to be looking forward to that roar on Tuesday. And I think, while there are times and places to have that discussion, and maybe there'll be points this week where we think, the program could be better. It is still Cheltenham. It is still I don't care what anyone says. You can say that the year shouldn't revolve around Cheltenham. It does, and I can't wait for it now. Look at it. When you love this game, this is the week you want to be there for.
Absolutely.
It's a great song, David, for the treadmill in the months of February and March to get you pumped up. I was a big fan of Mark back in the day. And of course, other great songs, horse racing songs. Danoli by Richie Kavanagh was on the playlist as well. And what about, of course, Dawn Run as well, Foster and Allen. You're a big fan of them, Dave.
Oh, yeah, love him. Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's move on, Barry. As we start off this week's show, I knew he was going to get in
my
something.
box.
So, Carlow versus Offaly this week on the big handicaps at Cheltenham. Lads, let's
Joe McDonough final.
No, we won't mention any hurling. We're just going to talk all horses this week, and that's what we're going to do. Right, we're going to kick off, lads, with the Ultima handicap chase. And Mark, I'm going to come to you first. You're our special guest on the show this week. It looks to be as if Meeting of the Waters, the talk is he's a Gold Cup horse entered in an Ultima, but is Mark Boylan with this favourite? Are you going to be looking elsewhere for a selection?
At the prices, I don't know if there's any value to be had at the moment. I think if there is a common theme with some of these handicaps, and it's a pain when you do fancy a couple of them that have now become obvious. I think a lot of the preview night circuit, sometimes it can be echo chamberish where one good case or one point gets echoed, and then the price keeps getting shorter and shorter. So, I do think some of these favourites that we have in these races, I don't think they go off as short as they will on the day. I think, especially on the Tuesday, surely bookies are going to be trying their best to get you in. There'll be incentives, there'll be extra places, and Boylesports, I'm sure, will be extra places through the week as well. But I do think, you go back, this horse, he is very, very smart. He has improved. He is on an upward curve. There's not a lot to dislike about him other than his price. And I suppose if you want to be picky, it's funny when you look this week, lads, and you say Willie Mullins, I think, at least from the turn of the millennium, he's 0 for 43 in handicap chase at Cheltenham Festival. And here he is with Satroy tight in the betting. Here he is with, obviously this horse Meeting of the Water is going to be tight enough in the betting. He could actually have the chance to make the breakthrough. But when you see Dino Blue beaten in the Grand Annual last year off a low mark, and you see what she's going on to be this season, a Grade 1 winner, you just wonder why it is that doesn't seem to click for them handicap chasers. Admittedly, it's not a huge amount of runners in overall terms, 43 since the year 2000 anyway. But I think there's value here, and I like Giovinco an awful lot. I really hope that they run him here as opposed to taking a crack at a Grade 1. I know maybe that 3, to me, Factify is banker material in the Brown Advisory. I wouldn't think there's any business going there, but this horse gives me Corach Rambler vibes. He's definitely, as a hurdler, he was smart, didn't blot his copybook. He's had a couple of little missteps or offences, but I think the run against Stay Away Faye at Sandown, an absolute hell of an effort. If you think Stay Away Faye is rated in the high 150s now, this guy is running in the 140s, 148. Corach Rambler's won this twice, and if I'm marking the 140s for the same connections. And even if the run at Kempton at Christmas, he's a horse that I think needs to go left-handed. He's, Il France, you can't afford to make a mistake when he's setting the tone in front. And this horse was continuously jumping out to his left, and you can't do that in a Grade 1 around Kempton. So I just think there's an awful lot of upside to him. I could see him being a better horse than a handicapper in Britain in the coming seasons, and a double-figure price. I just think Giovinco, I'm fingers and toes and everything across the do come here.
Yeah, well, for anyone that has want to wait for my nap selection, this is my nap selection of the week. It's Meeting of the Waters. So if you've anything else to do and you just wanted to come on and watch Champ.ie for my nap, you've got it after 7 minutes, so you can scoot off, get down to your local bookmakers, Boylesports preferably, and get on Meeting of the Waters. Right, that's that out of the way. Barry Doyle, your thoughts on the Ultima handicap chase next week?
If you had to press me for a selection, David, the Goffer is probably the one who, look, he's £2 lower than when he finished fourth in the race last year. I think, looking at he's obviously had that pipe opener at Punchestown last time. And I just think he's a year older, a year stronger. He's been totally laid out for the race. I like his preparation this year. He ran a fine race over 2.5 miles at Leopardstown en route to Cheltenham last year. I think it's all been about the Ultima this year. And look, he's 6-1. He's well found in the market. If there was one at I suppose a big double figure price, if she got into the race, and it might be touch and go. Lucinda has a good record, obviously, in the race, winning it twice with Corach Rambler. Apple away. I know Mark likes Giovinco, but she could be dangerous off a very low weight in the race. I know they think the world of her. My question mark with her is she better in smaller fields? She won, obviously, at Aintree last year. I don't think ground, I say she's pretty ground versatile, but, if she got an easy lead on the front end, she could be dangerous, 14-1.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention at the top of the show, of course, our very special guest this week on Champ.ie is Darragh O'Keeffe, and he's got some really, really good mounts at Cheltenham next week, and really looking forward to hearing him speaking with Barry later in the show. Barry, going to come to you. Let's move on to the Boodles Handicap Hurdle. But before I get your thoughts on us, give us some big race trends on this.
Yeah, well, I suppose looking at 8 of the last 10 years, the winner of the race has carried 11 stone or more. So, look, I just think favourites. It's a tricky kind of a race, David. Favourites don't have the best of records in. The Irish obviously have won the last 6 renewals of the race, and Gordon Elliott has won 4 of the last 11. He has Dowie in here. I think that would definitely have a lively chance. The one I like is the top weight, Paul Nicholls' horse Liari, and it's unbeaten, obviously. And I think maybe in a different year, Liari could be going for a Triumph Hurdle if Sergino wasn't around. But I think Paul Nicholls obviously has won the Boodles on 3 occasions in the past, so he knows how to train the winner of the race. And I liked the versatility that this horse has shown on his 3 starts for Paul Nicholls. Obviously won on good ground over 1 mile and 2 in France before transferring, but he's won on heavy ground. He's won on good to soft ground. And he seems versatile. He's a big, strong horse. And I could just see him travelling well under the hands of Harry Cobden. And look, I think probably the key one here is, I mentioned the weight thing in a race like this. We've seen Brazil win off a fairly hefty weight in the last couple of seasons, but 3 of the last 5 have actually carried more than 11 stone 8 in the race. So I think he can go well. He'll travel strongly. The big worry would be, is there a horse, maybe an Irish horse lurking, maybe the likes of Martin Brazel's horse there, for example, at a low weight that could maybe get into the mix. The interesting one, and I don't know, has this come on Mark's radar, but Milantino.
Yeah, and there seems to be confidence in that camp about this horse. And I don't know, if you talk about French horses transitioning here, I'm just about over my counselling sessions to get over Gaelic Warrior a few years ago. That was a bitter one. And this race is love-hate after that moment. But yeah, Milantino, obvious chance, wouldn't put anybody off him. I don't know if we have an outstanding. I felt in other years there was probably a clear maybe plot horse maybe in this race from an Irish point of view. I think Batman Darragh, it's interesting, he's been left on his Irish mark. I think last season on average, I think the Irish juveniles went up about £5 versus their home marks. This season I think it's £2.9 is the average. Batman Darragh runs off his Irish mark here. You'd like that little bit of an angle when you think maybe that the handicapper is treating them a little bit easier in general, albeit you have to factor in the unknown quantity is how he's treated the British horses in return. So you can't use that as an exact science. I suppose at a bigger price, if there was one in the same colours as Milantino, Nara is one that I've just had in mind for this race. If all came together, it's a lot you'd have to take on trust. And I'd like to see market positivity on the day. But I watched back her first start in France. She won a race at Auteuil over hurdles. I think it was a listed race, if I'm correct in saying. Got a reasonable time form figure for it on the day. Won in good style. 2 runs here wouldn't have blown you away, but she strikes me as the kind of filly that wouldn't have been good enough to win a Triumph. But and she already has her novice status ticking away. Maybe you take the view then that you try and go for a Boodles, and maybe you build back from there. And I think the one thing you have to remember as well, last season Henry de Broamhead, some of his horses, didn't. They ran way above themselves, and they got to the spring here at Cheltenham. I can't get out of my head how well Captain Guinness nearly travelled for a few strides in a champion chase. Obviously, Maskada, Envoy Allen roared back to life. In the pocket ran very well. I'm leaving out a lot of horses there that he had, but they just seemed to run eyeballs out last season. It just wouldn't shock me if there was another level of improvement in her. But look, Milantino, for obvious reasons, I think he is the one I would take a flyer on. But the Irish in this race, I think they have 6 of the first 7 home last year. They've won 5 or 6 in a row. It's a good stomping ground for us.
Yes, it certainly is. That, of course, is the Boodles Handicap Hurdle. Right, lads, it gets easier now because we're going to move on to the Coral Cup Handicap Hurdle. It gets much easier as we try to pinpoint a winner through these handicaps on the show this week. And, of course, the Ultima, the Boodles, their extra place races at Boylesports, and also the Coral Cup is going to be an extra place, so keep an eye out for that. Mark, I'm going to give you first dibs on this one. What do you like in the Coral Cup? Look, it's the most, probably one of the competitive races of the week, isn't it? So many horses in here. To find the one, that's well handicapped, that's still got a bit of improvement left in the locker. What is that horse for the Coral this year?
I'll be honest now, this race is not my cup of tea ever. So you must really like me, lads. Bring me on the week of all the handicaps. This is death trap stuff you're sending me into here. But I be honest with you, it's not a race that I'm going to absolutely scratch my head trying to solve. I think the talk with Sam Majest, you have to take note of that. From the guys that were at Willie Mullins' press morning, you just got that impression from speaking to them that this was his kind of handicap horse that could have another level in him, that could be a horse that has ability far and away beyond a mark of 140. But Dottie the Great would be the one that I suppose if you didn't have that nugget of information, I thought Dottie the Great getting up to this trip has been catching the eye. Nice profile. Nicky Henderson knows how to win the race. If I had no inclination in Sam Majest, Dottie the Great would be where I'd be going. But I think now I need a pack in Eurofend to try and get myself over this if I was trying to solve this on the morning of the Wednesday.
Yeah, because it's funny. That's the horse that I really like in the race is Dottie the Great for Nicky Henderson. I thought it's got a really nice profile for this contest, and has been running okay through the season. And I think there could be a very big race in Dottie the Great, currently in around 9-1 in the market there. Barry, some trends firstly on the Coral Cup, and then your selection.
Yeah, well, four of the last 6 winners have been 20-1 or bigger. So, and no wonder Mark doesn't like the race. It's quite not saying you can't tip a 20-1 winner, Mark, but it's tricky. It is definitely tricky. And Sam Majest, I think, off 140. I think a lot of people maybe thought he was going to go for the Martin Pipe, but he might just rock up in a race like this. To see No Ordinary Joe has been well supported for same connections for the Martin Pipe later in the week, and that ran a good race in that race last year. So maybe Sam Majest will come here. Might just lack experience for a race like this, though, David. And I suppose the one I like, horses that up there towards, again, the higher end of the weights, that have plenty of experience, do well in the Coral Cup in a race like this. And Ballyadam is a horse that has been well supported, 16-1. It's a spring horse. He's only had 14 starts over hurdles. He was second in the Supreme and ran 2 fine races at the Cheltenham Festival and the new course in the county hurdle. Last year, I think he was 5th in the county. He wasn't beaten all that far, travelled into the race. But I just wonder, stepping up in trip at this year's festival to 2 Mile 4, he'll be stepping back in trip and in grade after running in the Jack the Broamhead grade 1. Obviously at Leopardstown there over Christmas, but he's been kept fresh for this particular race. And I just wonder, I heard on another preview that he'd been working quite well, and Darragh seems sweet on him as well. He's 16-1. He could outrun those odds, and he seems to come alive in the spring. So that's Ballyadam, 9 years of age. It'll just be his 15th start over hurdles.
Yeah, cracking race to look forward to. Right, before we head into our first ad break, we're going to look at the Grand Annual Handicap, Jason. Barry, you like a couple in here?
Well, I like Enniskerry if it's not too soft. If the ground is not too soft, I think he's a lively chance. And he's a particularly good jumper. He was last seen when, he was running a good race in the Galway Plate, but I'd say 2 Mile 6 was too far for him. His best form is on nicer ground. I think he'd have a chance in a race like this. He could be a graded horse in a handicap. Strong traveller, jumps particularly well. I'd say stepping back to 2 will be absolutely fine. He's never raced at Cheltenham in the past. That might be a slight concern. But the other one I give a live to now, he disappointed plenty of people last year in the county hurdle, Pat Doyle. If the ground was on the easier side, I'd say he'd have a lively each way chance. His jumping he's getting his jumping together. He was going to win at Leopardstown before falling. The race was eventually won by the big chap. But I just think Pat Doyle could be a lively each way chance as well. But for me, the number one pick would be Enniskerry. I'd say he could hit the frame once it's not heavy in the description.
Yeah, and a nice price in the market as well. For you, Mark, what do you make of the Grand Annual this year?
I think from an Irish point of view, I think last year's winner, Maskada, is a big chance. I think 12 or 14-1 is pretty big. I know she's up £8, but beating Dino Blue 6.5 lengths. For all I don't want to take it completely literally, that margin, because Dino Blue obviously made mistakes. But I thought it was a hell of an effort. And last time, I get this impression all year, it's been building back to this day. You look at it was down in Clonmel the first day she ran, visibly looked like a mare that was going to come on for a run considerably, and has made progress. I thought last time front running did not play to her strengths. I think, and they probably set it up for Allegory Devassi and behind. This mare's best form comes when she gets a lead. And again, that angle of Henry de Broamhead's taking another step forward. I know she'll need to keep improving, but it's not like she's over the hill. She just turned 8. I think that's a big price for one with course form, having won here before. But I would give a shout, a slightly left field one at a big price, 25-1. I think Frero Bamboo, he's crying out to come back to 2 miles to my eye. I remember here 2 years ago, he was punted off the boards for this race. I think he went off 6-1 and just got detached, but made a hell of a lot of ground. I think he ended up finishing 3rd at the Global Citizen that deluge day at Cheltenham. And obviously, you'd rather a little ease in the ground. It sounds like the start of the week is going to be the best chance of getting that. He's a big price, and the handicapper in Britain, he is allowing some of these horses to drop down the weights pretty quickly. Like this horse, he was second at Newbury to Can Do Kid earlier in the year off 133. To my eye, just didn't get home. and he obviously made a mistake late, I think, if I remember correctly. But he went up to 140 and a couple of starts later, 136 actually. Sorry, I think with the rating adjustment, and he just come back down again. He's back to 133, a very quick revision. And just to me, Frere Bamboo, having seen him run well here before, I like a horse who's been to this track or been in handicap chaser on Cheltenham before. He's got a hardened profile. Could see him running well, but Maskada is just the one I think could be the graded type mare in a handicap again. And that's what I like about her.
Yes, absolutely. Right, before we head into the first ad break, Barry, we've got some winners a winner to announce of some nice Red Mills merchandise. Of course, you're going to tell us about that, and you're also going to tell us about a nice prize we have to give away from Boylesports this week on the show.
Yeah, well, last week we were going to give away a £20 Boylesports free bet. And the week prior to that, of course, was Red Mills Thyestes. So for the 5 cast there, obviously, Jane Davis very kindly put up the Red Mills merchandise. So Harry Mahan has won the Red Mills jacket. Congratulations to you and the hat. Get in touch. You can send us an email to champ.ie@gmail.com or into the DMs, David, on Twitter. You can get in touch with us there to organise that prize being sent out to you. So Harry Mahan, congratulations. And Lloyd Murphy, a good follower of the show, has won a €20 free bet for Boylesports ahead of the Cheltenham Festival. And all you have to do, David, obviously for this week, is put your each way double in for the handicaps at Cheltenham down below. We won't judge you whether it wins or loses until after the festival, but to be able a chance of winning that free bet ahead of the Cheltenham Festival, just put your entries down below, and obviously subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we're now going to head off for our first ad break, and immediately after this, Barry catches up with Darragh O'Keeffe.
Broamhead and Patrick Mullins.
McGree had justified favouritism, but sharp object out in front was ready for John McConnell and Alex Harvey.
Western victory, silver line. That'll be the finishing order.
Delighted to be joined by jockey Darragh O'Keeffe on the Champ.ie podcast once again as we build up to the Cheltenham Festival. Darragh, this is the time you want to be a jockey. Great time to be alive.
That's it, yeah. No, it's very much looking forward to next week now, and it's only around the corner, so yeah, very much looking forward to it.
And of course, in cracking form this season, going from strength to strength, and you've had some really nice winners of late for Henry the Broamhead. Tell us about the relationship there.
Yeah, no, Henry's been brilliant to me. As I said, rode obviously a winner for him at Cheltenham last year, Maskada, and I've had other couple of nice winners, but especially this year, I've got great chances, and as I said, it's great to have a big yard there that'll be giving you rides and things. So yeah, it's going great, thank God.
And she was brilliant. We saw obviously Dino Blue come into the Grand Annual last year. Maskada tracked her into the straight. Obviously, she had soft ground. Did you think that was important to her last year? And even, I suppose, going into the race this year, she goes back for a repeat bid.
Yeah, look, it's not a negative anyway. She shows that she does go on a ground with a bit of an ease to it, and look, it'll probably looking like maybe it'll be similar conditions this year. So yeah, it's definitely not a negative, and she went well in the race last year. I'd say she loves a strong pace to aim at rather than her making the pace. So I'd say that'll suit her, and as we said, we know she acts on the course and stuff. She has more weight this year, but it's an open enough race, and she's a good each way chance again, hopefully.
Yes, you mentioned the weight. Obviously, she was 142 when she won it last year. What did you make of the handicapper's assessment?
Yeah, sure. Look, I suppose going off her win last year, we definitely knew she'd have more weight. Maybe this year she hasn't maybe shown herself up too much or anything. She obviously started off in Clonmel over 2.5. Got tired on the day, but probably didn't really see out the trip, and she was third to El Fabiolo and third to Allegory Divasi. So look, she's ran she's ran well, but we're hoping back to Cheltenham now, and the Grand Annual hopefully will bring out the best in her again.
Yeah, and Henry's horses always seem to come alive this time of the year. What do you put that down to, Darragh? Is he peaking him for Cheltenham every single year? Is there anything you can put your finger on to say why he has them so ready this week every single year?
Yeah, look, I suppose it's he does target this meeting, and I suppose the owners and stuff like going over having runners and things. But in fairness, no, he always seemed to have him peaking at the right time, and I'd say they don't really do anything different or anything maybe, but you'd see a lot of a lot of his other horses in other races. They'd be coming here fresh and well. So as I said, he's just a very good trainer, and he knows how to get them to peak at the right time of the year.
And one man that definitely knows how to get them peaked at the right time of the year is Mouse Morris. Now, you've struck up a relationship with Mouse and Gentlemansgame, who goes for the Gold Cup. What sort of order is he in?
Yeah, look, he's in brilliant form. Mouse is really happy with him. Obviously he was very good. Very good win to Charlie Hall at Weatherby, beating Brave Man's Game, and then obviously he missed Christmas, and but touch wood, now he's a horse that isn't easy to train for Mouse, but he's had a nice run of things with him there now, and I've sat in him plenty, and he's in good order, and hopefully, as I said, he's still unexposed, so nobody knows how good he is, and hopefully he'll be able to show everyone at Cheltenham next Friday.
Yeah,
Friday
I remember being at Leopardstown when he was so impressive in his beginning of chase. But just back to Weatherby, obviously he was getting weight off Brave Man's Game and coming down to the last hour upsides, but he pulled out more, stayed well to the line, obviously in the Charity Hall. Brave Man's Game second in the Gold Cup last year. That's really good form, but do you think Gentlemansgame has improved much since the Charity Hall?
Look, you'd be hoping so. Like, I think people forget his only third run ever only over fences. And like he was in the deep end. Taking on a horse with of Brave Man's Game caliber, and with the experience he has, and as you said, finishing second in the Gold Cup. Without galloping the Champs last year, he'd be a very impressive winner of the race. So, I think it was a massive performance, and we're hoping that with very little experience and over fences that there'll be improvement. And he's not a horse with a lot of mileage on the clock either. He's beginner's chase. Looks, even the race he won at Leopardstown last Christmas looks good now, with seeing what I Am Maximus is after going on and doing, winning an Irish Grand National, and winning a Drinmore, and very impressive of Bobby Joe Chase the other day as well. So he beat a good horse that day, and but look, he'll have to step forward plenty from Weatherby. But look, we're hopeful there's improvement to come out of him anyway.
Yeah, one horse I wanted to ask you, but obviously we teamed up this year on the Champ.ie podcast with Gowran Park, and the Red Mills Hurdle winner, Lantry Lady, unbeaten, 2 from 2 at Gowran Park. Do you think she's a player in the mares?
Yes, look, it's great for the owners, the Merrigas, to have they're, in fairness, they're very lucky with the mares that they've got. Look, I think the more rain that falls will definitely suit her chances. She's the 2 times she's won in Gowran, the ground has been very soft, but she's a lovely big mare, and she was very impressive now the last day in Gowran, Red Mills Day, and she'll be stepping up in trip for the first time, but I don't think that'll inconvenience her. You're looking at the race the last day, she seemed to, the further she was going, she seemed to be going better. So as I said, I think the more rain that falls, it'll definitely suit her chances, and they've the other nice mare in the race as well, Hispanic Moon, who was really good the other day in Punchestown. So they'll have 2 bullets to fire in the mare's hurdle. So hopefully they'll be lucky from.
Gabby's Cross obviously might just scrape into the Pertemps. You sat on board last time at Punchestown and seemed to stay very well to the line. Lots of people talking about this horse's chance for a Pertemps, as its rating is much lower over hurdles than its chase mark.
Yeah, I think he's a big chance if he gets in. He ran really well in Punchestown. It was the inside track as well. He's a horse that kind of drops in a little bit, and he came home really well. He missed the last hurdle, but I think the new course in Cheltenham will really suit him, because he's a horse that does tend to make a mistake even late on in the race, but there's very little jumping in the new course. The last 4 or 5 furlongs. So I think he'll stay really well. I think the track will suit him. and he's a horse that's ran well in Paddy Powers and in big handicap Kerry Nationals and even at Thyestes. So definitely, I definitely think he's a big chance. I think he's a nice weight, 10-7 as well. So yeah, I think if he gets in, he'll be definitely a player.
And just down in Henry's, it must be fantastic looking at, I suppose, the team of horses he has at the moment. Obviously, Envoy Allen and Manila Indo, big players in respective races. First of all, how's Envoy Allen?
Yeah, in Violin seems to be really well. I've seen him plenty there riding out. Obviously he's a horse that goes really goes well, fresh, and obviously he hasn't ran since the Grade 1 down Royal. So I think he's a big player, and he's after winning. He's after winning three or four times at the festival now, and he's a very good horse, and I think he'll take all the beating again in the Ryanair.
Indo, how's his preparations went?
Yeah, Manila Indo, again, he'll have a strong chance in the cross-country chase, a former winner of a Gold Cup. Obviously, Delta Work and Galvin are two classy horses as well. I think the only fear I'd have for Manila Indo, maybe if the ground was really soft or heavy on the cross-country course, I think that might favour Delta Work, but I thought he ran massively the last day in Cheltenham. For his first time going round there, was he carrying 12 stone? The three horses in front of him had 10-2 and 10-5, and that's a lot of weight to be going around for 3 mile 5. I think he's a great chance, and again, he's a horse that goes well fresh, and he's been trained for the race, and I think with a small bit of luck, I think he'll take all the beating.
Mentioned Envoy Allen in the same silks. The horse you've rode earlier on in his career over fences, Ballyadam, but he reverted to hurdles last season, and obviously ended up in the Coral Cup. Would you think he'd have a squeak stepping up in trip from, I suppose, 2 miles? He ran a great race in the county last year.
Yeah, he did. He was second to Irish Point in the 3 mile race at Christmas, wasn't he? I'd say 2.5. I'd say 2.5 would probably suit him better. He's a horse that travels really well. He's not short of pace. He's definitely capable of winning a big handicap. He's ran well in the county there before, and he's a horse that he was a graded horse in his younger days, and he finished second to last in a Grade 1. So definitely he'd have a good each way chance as well. I'd have thought.
Yeah, and just before we do finish up, obviously I'll be given out if I don't mention Slade Steele. Obviously Ballyburn, we don't know the target as of yet, but Slade Steele, have you seen much of him down in Henry's? What do you make of his novice campaign so far?
Yeah, sure. Look, Slade Steele, I think, the only horse that's ever beaten him has been Ballyburn. He's done nothing really wrong. I thought he's been impressive in his maiden hurdle, and then when he went to Navan, I thought he was really good. And I was even impressed with him the last day at the DRF, the way he was able to travel away for 2 miles. I think wherever Ballyburn doesn't go, I think this will take a lot of beating. He's a very good horse. I think if Ballyburn did go to the Supreme, I think the 2.5 race would probably suit Slade Steele better. And he's a horse that stays well, and as you seen in that the 2.5 mile race in Navan that he won that novice hurdle. So I think wherever Ballyburn doesn't go, and if Slade Steele's in a different race to him, I think he'll take a lot of beating.
You won a Grade 2 hurdle on Quilixios. He's obviously was off the track for 610 days prior to returning this year. But what have you made of his career over fences so far?
Yeah, look, he looks obviously when these beginners at Limerick, he was very good. Then they stepped him up to 3 miles in Punchestown, and he didn't stay. So he went back then to Naas, and I thought he was very good. Jumped brilliant on the day. You'd have to say he'd have a big chance in the Arkle now, the way things have planned out in it. It's a real open race, and he's a horse that I'd say he'd be suited to a strong pace, as he has won over, it was his beginners 2-3. So, but he does jump well, and he's not a slow horse. So yeah, I think I actually, when all the horses, the Marie Nationale were in it, I even still thought he'd a good each way chance. And with the likes of him coming out now, I wouldn't be surprised if he went on and was a big player in it.
No, you're busy, Darragh, and listen, we really appreciate you coming on the show this week. I'm sure Maskada, well, obviously you had a big day with Maskada last year. It'd be brilliant to see you in the winners' enclosure once again at the Cheltenham Festival. Horse you're most looking forward to riding next week?
Yeah, look, obviously I've never ridden in a Gold Cup before, so I'm really looking forward to Gentlemansgame. As I said, Gallop and Deschamps is a worthy favourite, and if he turns up, he'll take all the beating. But I'm very much looking forward to being a part of the Gold Cup, and I'm really looking forward to obviously Maskada again, going back to the Grand Annual. She'll as I said, she's a shorter price this year for the race than she was last year, and I think the race will be made for her again, so I wouldn't discount her. And another mare I'm looking forward to, Hispanic Moon as well in the mare's hurdle. I really like her. She's not a big mare, but she was very good for her first run this year for Henry, and disappointed at Christmas, but really came back to form the last in the Covega hurdle, which has been a good trial for the mares going on to the mares race. So I think she's a good each way chance as well. So yeah, really looking forward to the three of them.
Finally, Darragh, best chance of winner for the week?
Best chance of winner. Yeah, hopefully I'll get to ride Gabby's Cross. I'd give him a good chance. As I said, I think he'll have a good chance.
Right, lads, let's move on to the Pertemps final then. Barry, feed us some interesting stats before we get your selection for the race.
Yeah, well, look, I suppose the Pertemps, I've already given you one there, but only 2 of the last 22 winners have actually won a qualifier. Only 3 of the last 12 have ran more than 9 times over hurdles. And I suppose against my selection, who I'll come to in just a moment, no winner aged older than 8 years of age since 2011. The one I like is actually 10 years of age, David, Chantry House. I just think he could be well treated. There could be more to come over hurdles. The cheap pieces went on last time. He was an eye catcher on a couple of occasions this year over hurdles for Nicky Henderson, who was interested in his stable tour at the start of the year. He was very, very positive on Chantry House and how he came back in after the summer, and obviously had that really tough neck injury that ruled him out for quite some time prior. But you must not forget, obviously he won the Turners, at the Cheltenham Festival and the new course in the past. He's a dual grade 1 winner over fences himself. And I just thought it was, if you watch back the body language from James Bowen at Huntington when he qualified last time, when he jumped the last, the initial reaction wasn't to try and get him into the mix for victory. It was to look behind the shoulder to see who was coming behind him. So, that was very much, I think, a job done to get him qualified for the race. And look, at 10 years of age, he's a horse that has had his problems, as I mentioned, but I just think he could be well treated off his current mark of 143. And he'll jump, he'll travel. He's a classy horse. Off 143, I'd say he could be dangerous. But Icar Allen, I thought from an Irish perspective, also in the JP Silks, given zero tax by the British handicapper. What did you make of that, Mark?
Yeah, it seems to be. Well, last season, I definitely remember, I think when one has run in Britain already, it seemed to maybe help their case a little bit when it came to festival times for a Mark. And he obviously qualified across the water. Yeah, look, it wouldn't shock me if he won. He wasn't one that looks completely obvious as a horse with loads in hand off 142. Maybe he will take a step up. I didn't necessarily have him down as the 3 miler, even, to be honest, Barry, but I'd say he does get it. I'd say, if there's one man you like on your side to try and put stamina in horses, it's Willie Mullins. I always feel that even when you see how adaptable he is and he approaches maiden hurdles, he's not afraid to run them at different trips. Did Faheen win over 3 miles in a maiden hurdle or a novice hurdle and then go, obviously, turn into a champion hurdler. But obviously, Icar Allen's a different beast. I'm not trying to compare him. I'm just saying Willie is fairly versatile in that sense. I was interested in Ted Walsh's horse, albeit I think she got 6 from the British handicapper. Still think 133. She's a mare on the ups, and she's got up in distance. She's definitely improved. Guy Cullis is. I think there's a lot going for her. And I just, maybe at the price of some of these horses, I think she's one that could go off a little bit shorter than the kind of 9 to 1 that's knocking around at the moment. I could see her running well. I did another preview the other night with Henry Brook was on it, and he gave a nice mention to White Rhino in this race as well, from the Oliver Greenhall and Josh Guerrero yard, struck with Iroko last year. He got a low weight in this race. I had him half on my radar at one stage. I just kind of half forgot about the horse. And he got a positive mention there. And that's one outfit, that Guerrero Greenhall outfit. I have an awful lot of time for them. I think that they are going places. And this horse have a handy weight, course winner, tough horse. I wouldn't mind him from an each way perspective, but Gui Cull is probably the one that I'd fancy most.
Yeah, and I came down in White Rhino. It's funny that you say that, and nice to know that there is some confidence behind him now, because I thought he was a cracking each way bet, and that, of course, is another of the extra place races that Boylesports will have for you next week in that one. Right, lads, we'll move on because we've got plenty to get through still on the show. We're going to move on to the Kim Muir, the Challenge Cup, and it doesn't get any easier, but I know the way you're thinking, topping the market currently. Good Time Johnny next in the market, Angels Dawn then in there as well. Cool Survivor in around the 8-1 mark. Am I right? 12s. Mark, firstly, it's competitive, isn't it? But what do you like here?
I know the way you're thinking, but I just don't like the price. And I hope he's one of these that might just get pushed out. But God, you look at the run of Christmas at Limerick, and he's third to Gaelic Warrior and Ilite Thompson, who are going to be prominent in an Arkle picture. And here he is in the Kim Muir, with the chance that he will improve for going up and trip, I think, as well. Look, maybe a little light and experience over fences if you want to hold something against him, and he does have stamina to prove, but I don't think it's going to be a big issue for him. He kind of has that any second now feeling to me that he could be a horse that's capable of being effective in a higher grade than a 145 top rated Kim Muir. The price has dried up. Maybe later in the week or next week there could be a little bit more juice in his price. But it's not without a chance. There's a lot of them in here. Like there's Percival Gallo was one I have on my radar, but he's obviously going to miss the race now. British Handicap hit him quite hard. There's a horse there of Kim Bailey's there that I know a couple of decent judges like, and I've gone back and looked at the case myself, and I wouldn't be totally against it either. Trelawn, he's a big price, could see him running well, having looked at his form with Crebley and so on. But just another way you're thinking, he could be a little better than these.
He could be, couldn't he? And as you said, if he is maybe around 5-1 in the day, certainly your eyes would be a lot more brighter than the current mark of around 7-2. Barry, what way would you be in agreement with Mark, or have you looked at a bigger price one here for the Kim Muir?
Listen, I thought he was a bit short, but at the same time, look, he could be very well treated, and the Irish have a really decent record in the Kim Muir, and the last 5 winners were actually novice chasers. So, it's novices in second season. Novices typically have a very good record in this race, and the jockey factor as well. I mean, I heard an interesting point someone made on a different preview. I can't remember exactly where or what was, but I remember what was said was, this looks a race that some of the Irish trainers target this particular race because they know they can get the best amateurs basically. Whereas that's maybe why the English. The British have such a decent record in the Ultima because, their 3 mile stay and handicap chases are going that route. But listen, the one I like, we had Ben Pauling on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. David, myself and yourself were on with Ben, and the one he singled out for a big run at the Cheltenham Festival. And he's an excellent team going to Cheltenham, was Bow to Greatness, who looks like he might just sneak in off 133. It'll be interesting to see who's booked for the ride. But look, he'll be getting in off a featherweight. He's shaped brilliant at Kempton on his pipe opener last time. Some people make the point that Kempton meeting can come a bit quick, basically, and even the Ascot, the Reynoldston meeting the week prior. But I just like the way he shaped in the race. Ben did say he's a very hard horse to get fit. He's never won over fences after 9 starts, but I just think he looks ready to peak and ready to run a career best off 133. He's running the new course twice as well, so he has course experience. Both runs over 2.5 miles. He obviously ran in the race behind Ginny's Destiny over a trip plenty short in January. I think that looks good form. Peterman was in the race as well, finished second. I like him for the plate. And obviously, he finished midfield last year in the plate himself, Bow to Greatness. So, and I think the extra 2 furlongs, prime for a big run off 133. I wasn't a Spurs fan, David, but I think Harry Redknapp could have the winner of the Kim Muir. The big price, 14-1. Look, he'll hit the frame, I think.
Yeah, you're likely to change. That's one thing about you. You've, I don't know how many teams you support this year from the start of the season in the Premier League. But anyway, that's for a completely different story for those of you that don't know you really well like I do. Right, we're going to move on to the county hurdle, Barry. But the one thing you do have is you've solid stats, and you're going to give me some ahead of the county hurdle and your thoughts on the race.
I want to give a quick mention to the plate because we just breezed over that, David, just because I had that in front of me. The plate, obviously, mentioned novices have a good record in the Kim Muir, but the plate over 2.5 miles on the Thursday, novices have a particularly decent record in that as well. And just looking at the trends, I thought this was a pretty big one. 18 of the last 22 winners of the plate carried 10 stone 13 or less, and so unexposed novices in off a low weight. I thought of a decent record, and I didn't think it looked the deepest plate this year. Obviously, Cribilli has been the big handicap talking horse on the preview circuit. I know Johnny Deneen is quite strong on his chances, and
best bet of the week, he says, didn't he? Johnny
yeah,
is in on him, yeah.
And in fairness, he was every chance he was going to beat Ginny's Destiny early in the season. I mean, he was travelling very strongly in the race. His jumping let him down. Obviously, he came down in that race, and I thought it went to pot next time at Cheltenham. His jumping wasn't great that day, a little bit better at Exeter, but I just worry about his jumping. I think there's a lot of deadwood in the race. And the one I like is Theatre Man off 137. Again, back to that form behind Ginny's Destiny in January at Cheltenham on the new course. He'll have a lovely racing weight there. Harry Cobden, I believe, is booked for the ride. He'll be given an aggressive ride. He makes lengths at every single fence. I love that about this horse. He was progressive over hurdles. And I just think Theatre Man, there's a lot to like. 6-1. I'd actually make him my handicap nap of the week. I think he's a big chance on the Thursday.
Right, okay, very, very good indeed. But let's move to that county hurdle then, Barry. And you're going to bring us in just before you give us your thoughts on the race on some stats maybe that will be a guide for having a bet in the race.
Yeah, the county hurdle, very, very tricky. If you think the Coral Cup's tricky, Mark, this is probably just as tricky, if not even trickier. Willie Mullins, obviously, and Dan Skelton have dominated the race in recent seasons, so maybe that narrows it down a little bit for you. 8 of the last 9 renewals have been taken by either Willie Mullins or Dan Skelton. Between the two of them, they've taken 8 of the last 9. Paul Townend bidding for his 4 county hurdle. You can see him just coming up there on the Golden Highway, the stand side rail, travelling best on whatever he rides. Obviously, Stateman comes to mind, but look, I just think the race itself, it's wide open, but I think it might just pay to come from off the pace in a race like this. A strong travelling horse that stays further than 2 miles maybe. Obviously, the new course, it lends itself to stamina. And I thought an interesting horse, it doesn't seem to be talking about. I like the way it's reverted back to hurdles. It's Zenta. It was only beaten 2 lengths by Lossiemouth, who's many people's banker of the week in the Triumph Hurdle last year. Obviously, it's only 5 years of age, but you must remember that was only its second start, Zenta, for Willie Mullins. And obviously went on to win the Grade 1 to Aintree off the back of it. It'll handle a little bit of nicer ground. It typically dries the course as the week goes on. And looking at 5-year-old's recent record in the race, Pied Piper was a 5-year-old who was just touched off in the race last year. So I just think Zenta, 12-1.
Right, Mark, what's your thoughts on the race?
Yeah, certainly wouldn't rubbish that with Zenta. She's definitely got a chance. I'd say the Gardenia camp, when they saw King of Kingsfield left on his Irish mark, to me, he looked like one the British handicapper could hit between the 2 eyes, but he's left him alone. And, I think it's maybe a sign of the times as to how the British handicappers may be treating some of these novices. You see Jericho de Repine getting what would appear a very lenient mark, maybe if they're ever going to go this way. I know he'd need another run. But there is definitely a change on there in how they're looking at those horses. Could see the case with him. Absurd is the horse I've had in my mind for a county hurdle for a long time. I think the angle now for getting into these races, you obviously like a novice on your side in some of these handicaps to have that unexposed potential. And he's kind of come the path less travelled, I suppose, to Cheltenham. You've seen him at Killarney, you've seen him at Galway. And I thought last time was an eye-catching effort just to see him come back to form. Drying ground would be in his favour. Like, he's a horse with loads of class. Like, he's won an E-bar. He ran a screamer in the Melbourne Cup, I thought, as well. And here he is in a county hurdle off 138. I'd like his jumping to be a little sharper, but maybe when you're going to the county hurdle at Stateman, you could have said, his jumping had to be a little bit tidier as well than he'd shown previously. For all that he was okay. I think there's a lot to like about Absurd, and at a bigger price, Magical Zoe, one of the most unlucky horses I thought at Cheltenham last season. The way she came home in the Mayor's Novice, had an absolute mountain to climb and just flashed past runners. I thought she could have won that another year. I still don't think she's badly treated. Ran well at the Dublin Racing Festival last time, behind Lord Erskine in a race where there was proper pace on. I think she, again, maybe it's the cross I'll die on here now in terms of thinking these Broamhead horses might have another level of improvement in them, but I think Magical Zoe, after a huge run last season, I love that form and that course to go back there again, and I can see her running well at a big price. I think she's around 14-1, 16-1, but Absurd, he's kind of the notebook horse I've had for this race for a while.
Yeah, plenty of options certainly to get stuck into. Right, if you're waiting to make money, and if you haven't made money by the time this race comes along, I'm afraid you might be in trouble. That's just the facts of the matter, which is the Martin Pipe Handicap Hurdle, Mark Boylan. If the pockets are in any way not full at this stage, I think the best thing to do might just be look on and watch, but maybe not, because maybe Mark Boylan has a really strong selection for the Martin Pipe.
It's one of these again. Geez, I mean, this Key to Bourbon, actually, when the Irish Fields, we do a horses to follow section every week, and there was no betting for this horse in the Martin Pipe, and when we put him up 1 week in it and flagged him as a pipe horse, but there was no odds about him, and said, he might be okay in a while. I log on to see the other day, he's in a 7-2. The togs are brown. You see that? I don't know. Look, he's got a huge chance. I think, and the vibes couldn't be stronger coming from Close Sutton by the sounds of it. And they have quality conditional riders down there they can choose from, which is obviously a benefit in this race too. I think this is a race where you need a horse who can go up to graded company afterwards and look comfortable. We've seen that, obviously Gallop and the Champs is the clear example of that. But, I do think you need a proper graded horse here. And the style in which this horse won his maiden hurdle for Willie, I thought he looked like a graded horse on that occasion. Maybe not as flashy last time, but I really like his profile. Again, he gets in just as one of those novices that could have another leap of improvement in him. I think there's an awful lot to like about him with the exception of the price, but I'd be shocked if he was 7-2 on the day, lads. I think he's one of these horses that will. Surely this race is one that's going to be 5 or 6 to 1 the field on the day, and at that rate, you can. If you're that way inclined, you're getting your added places. You can obviously you can go and do what you like in that sense. So, Key to Bourbon, I hate putting up as a favourite in the Martin Pipe at this price, but I'd wait till the day, and I think he will win. I think there's every chance he is a proper graded horse.
I'm reading between the lines, so if the pockets are in any way not going well, Mark Boylan of the Irish Field says you absolutely lump on the Willie Mullins Close Sutton horse and Quay de Bourbon in the Martin Pipe. That's my read on it, Barry Doyle. Would you think you've taken the same from that as I have?
I have to say I really liked the race. Good memories. Sir de Champ all those years ago. Gallop and the Champ, I backed him in the race. And he was actually on a road to Cheltenham Challenge show on a Monday that same season, I think on the eve of the Cheltenham Festival. So good memories about the race. And I like backing Willie Mullins in this particular race. And to me now, I was a little bit, I wasn't impressed by Key to Bourbon's jumping on his first start for Willie Mullins. I think it was at Naas. It was just maybe be a slight concern with his jumping. And there's a couple, look, there wouldn't be strong fancies. I like Lisnagar Fortune as a horse. Obviously has the pedigree in the family to win in the new course at Cheltenham. I'd just be maybe a little bit concerned. He's a strong travelling type. Was only beaten and probably should have beaten Reed and Tommy Wrong earlier on in the season. And he's been campaigned gently. He's in off 1-4-2. Gallop and the Champ won the race off that exact same rating a couple of seasons ago. If he didn't blow his top now or boil over, which would be a concern because he can be quite free early in his races. If he settled, I think he'd have a bit of a chance. The other one to mention, lots of people are talking about Waterford Whispers down at the bottom of 133. It's going to be touch and go whether he gets in. I'd say he will get in, and I'd say the other one to get in will be LeBron, who, unlike Lisnagar Fortune for Willie Mullins, he's been campaigned a little bit more aggressively in graded company. Obviously, he was well beaten by Mystical Power in the Moscow Flyover 2 miles, and he was well beaten by Tully Hill at Punchestown on the 18th. He's in off 133 here. He might scrape in. He's number 49 on the list. So he's a place higher there than Waterford Whispers. But if he got in off a low weight, I liked how he won for Willie Mullins at Thurles over on yielding ground. So a little bit of drier ground than what he faced on his last 2 starts. By Turgeon. I like his pedigree, and I'd say stepping up in trip, down in class off 133. He could be one at a nice price there, 16 to 1 each way for Willie Mullins in that particular race. Good record in the race he has.
Yeah, I think that's all very fine, but we still have to go with the man from the Irish Field and Mark Boylan, because he's saying this is going to be 5 or 6 to 1. We're going to lump on it when we are absolutely crying out for a winner on the final race.
Might need to rewind the tape there to see if I said that. I can't quite remember.
No. It's just the reading of it. It's like everything. You have to be good to read between the lines with the guests on here. You know, sometimes you top class journalists, you keep a little bit back, but we listen well and we take what we want from it. On that note, we're heading into our final ad break on the show, and we're back then with the lads' nap pick of the meeting and best bets in the handicaps for the week ahead at Cheltenham.
mystified favouritism, but sharp object out in front, we're waiting for John McConnell and Alex Harvey.
Western victory, silver last. Never be the finishing order.
Yeah, just a shout out, David, for Syndicates.racing before we come on to naps. Obviously, that's Cabaret Princess in the checkout, but you can select with any horse you want on the Syndicates.racing website. And if you want to buy a share, very reasonable prices. It'll get you to the big days, of course. They've proven that. And €50 off your first share today, as you can see, into the checkout. Pick your horse and apply the discount code CHAMP, all caps. And just a shout out as well for Gowran Park, obviously this weekend, David. Shamrock Chase Day, racing and rugby. I wouldn't be very much a rugby man, as you know, David, but nonetheless, Ireland Twickenham this weekend, and a good card as well on Saturday. Let's hope the weather holds up and Gowran Park have a fantastic day down there on Saturday upcoming. And all you have to do is scan the QR code up on screens to get your early bird tickets, so 33% off. And yeah, looking forward to be down with Eddie and the guys this weekend as well. But it's back over to you, Dave.
Yeah, I reckon you'd have made a great number 8, Barry, if you tried out. Yourself and Sean O'Brien, a fellow county man, of course. The two of you together could have combined to great things, but it wasn't to be. Right, Mark Boylan, this wasn't on the briefer, so it's a little bit of a quick fire round for you. Very quick, one-word answers. That's what we're going to fire through. What wins the champion hurdle?
Stateman.
Champion chase?
John Bond.
Okay, that's a bit of a shocker. Arkle?
Oh, I go Hunter's Yarn.
Stairs hurdle?
Teahupoo.
The Gold Cup?
Galopin de Champ, but Corrick Rambler is the each-way value.
And finally, what do you predict the score to be in the Pressbury Cup?
Oh, Jesus, you're catching me on the hop here now.
19-9, Mark. 19-9.
I'm just going to say something like 19-9, yeah. Look, Willie has 16 favours to the 28, doesn't he? When you think about that, I'm not saying he'd have 16 winners, but he's a savage team. Look, we'll go 19-9. I'll stick with my wiser man on my right-hand side.
And are you with 19-9 as well, Barry?
I think so. I think he'll get one more than last year. I think there's every chance, by the way, the British could beat us on the Thursday. I think they've strong claims on that Thursday at Cheltenham.
Right, okay. Well, as you know, Meeting of the Waters is my nap selection for those of you who've gone after the 7th minute in hearing that in the show. I'm just giving it to those who've joined late again. Mark, your nap pick of the meeting, what is it?
I just meant to say as well during that Martin Pipe discussion very quickly, I was on a preview panel with Dan Skelton and his nap for the Friday was Nurse Susan in the Martin Pipe. But just when you're talking about these handicaps, he was the only man I think that had more than one handicap winner at Cheltenham last season. She's still a big price, maybe 16-1 or bigger, and nice profile, 4th to Love Envy in the Mayor's Novice Hurdle a couple of seasons ago. Just it'd be remiss of me not to mention that because I thought he gave it a good mention on that one. But my nap handicap wise, let's go with Giovinco on the Ultima and keep Everton crossed. They do decide to run them there.
And the nap pick outside of the handicaps, then what would it be in the championship races? I'm quite surprised that you picked John Bond. Why did you pick John Bond? Because I'm just still peeling myself up off the floor that you think John Bond is going to win that particular race.
Look at it. It's price related mostly. I think El Fabiolo, obviously top drawer. I haven't been absolutely wowed by him this season. I think he's been fine, but I can't say I've looked at him and thought this is like Sprinter Sacre-esque or Altier-esque. I thought he's been good, but I don't know if he's in that echelon just yet. Maybe he'll take another step forward. But John Bond, to me, there's always been very little between these two horses, and I'm not convinced we saw the best of John Bond in the Arkle last season. I don't think I'm alone that in terms of the camp over there. I think last time he obviously won the Tingle Creek, really impressive in the Schlore, has proven that he's a better horse than Edward Stone. So I'm happy to tick that box. And he's a buzzy horse, this guy. I think Nicky Henderson has made no secret of the fact that the delay in a week from the Clarence House to the rescheduled one at Cheltenham was not ideal for a horse of his temperament. At times, I find when you get delayed grade ones, it's something I've been thinking more and more about in the last little while, but you can get a little bit of randomness at times, and those are horses to disappoint. Like you think of Editor Jeet winning a rescheduled at Clarence House, you think of Reed and Tommy Wrong winning a Lawlers and Ace that's rescheduled. And I just think John Bond, it was actually a mammoth effort in the circumstances. Even if you could look at it negatively. To me, he's 3 wide the whole way, very little margin for error. Saws a fence in half, like another horse would have nearly broken their pelvis at that point. He goes from being 2 or 3 lengths down, turning in, to being half length in front, jumping the second last. Like picks up really, really well, and is just kind of there for the shooting late on. I thought for given the hold up to the race, they were gearing up Everton towards meeting El Fabiolo on home turf a week earlier. Then they have to sit and wait in them. I think there's enough angles there to kind of 130 sort of price. I just think you go back to Aintree when they clashed before as novice hurdlers, a lot of water under the bridge. There's not a lot between these horses, and El Fabiolo not blemish free in terms of jumping either. So anyway, long-winded answer. I just think he's the value.
Excellent. Right, Barry, we're going to come to you for your best bets and your handicap nap.
Yes, well, best bets, obviously, the entire meeting for anyone that didn't watch the previous episode is Lecky Watson, 12 to 1 each way in the Bartlett. I think he's an outstanding each way chance in a tricky race. We know that, but I think he's made for the race. In terms of the handicap best bets, look, Bout of Greatness, I think each way into Kim Muir, I think every chance he is going to be banged there on the premises. Chantry House, 15 to 2 for the Pertemps. I think he could be well treated over hurdles. And Zenta, up the Golden Highway, the stand side rail under Mark Walsh. If he pulls her out to the left, coming to the last, delivers her late, I think she's a good chance at 12 to 1. And I thought, I didn't mention it, but she shaped, and she loved passing horses. You could see her just coming from behind at Leopardstown. She shaped like the best horse. I'd say she hit the front too soon there as well. And, you'd forgive her because she hadn't run for quite a while and she was reverting back to hurdles. So 12 to 1 in another tricky race each way in that county hurdle. I think she's a solid each way chance.
Excellent, lads. Well, I've just got to get my guitar. Mark Boylan is going to sing us out with a song. No, I'm only joking. We're not going to put that on you this week, Mark, but I'm sure there'll be plenty singing to be had over at Cheltenham next week. Big thanks and a big shout out to our sponsors, KCLR Radio, Gowran Park Racecourse, Syndicates Racing, and our betting partner, Boylesports. Hopefully you've enjoyed the show. Hopefully the lads and myself have found some winners for you next week. And the most important thing to do is enjoy the best 4 days in National Hunt racing. It's Cheltenham. Mark Boylan, a massive thank you to you from the Irish Field for joining us. And Barry Doyle, look forward to plenty more shows ahead of the racing season. But from all of us here at Champ.ie, enjoy Cheltenham.